Well, time for our cultural moment now. It's Tuesday. That means we're talking movies with our very own film critic, Lisa NESSELSON. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
Good
to see you. We're going to start with something I love, a good old disaster movie, and there's plenty of them about this summer, aren't there?
Yes, well, you know, it's so true. Be it zombies, viruses, catastrophic weather, special effects-based films have us put our political and cultural and religious differences aside, and we can all join hands to fight a common enemy. So the latest common enemy in Pacific Rim, out in France tomorrow and rolling out worldwide. The challenge facing humanity comes not from outer space or from zombies, but from gigantic killer lizards that have been biding their time beneath the Earth's crust. I hate when that happens.
Killer lizards.
A so-called underwater breach liberates them, and before you can say Godzilla's cousin, the Golden Gate Bridge is gone, and so is San Francisco, and so is Manila, and so is part of Mexico, and so on and so forth.
So the intellectuals get together and solve the problem, do they?
I'm afraid they don't. It's military specialists who build really enormous robots to fight the really enormous monsters. Now, there are activities that everybody agrees should be exhausting, right? Like running a marathon. If you're worn out after 26.2 miles, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And if you're climbing Mount Everest and that tuckers you out, same thing. Call me silly, but I don't think watching a movie should be exhausting.
You found it a bit of a slog, this one, did you?
I did. Pacific Rim has a lot of fans already, mostly younger than I happen to be, but I found watching it kind of exhausting.
And the pictures that we're seeing on our screens, is that typical of the movie as a whole?
I'm afraid it is, absolutely. There are grandiose visuals, and the 3D, I must say, is pretty good, but there's really dopey dialogue. You know, the only semi-original idea at work here is that operating a defense robot or a Jaeger is too overwhelming for just one pilot. So each Jaeger requires two pilots who each contribute half of their brain in a melding so intense, each pilot experiences all of his co-pilot's memories. The drawback is that if somebody were exposed to all of my memories right now, unfortunately, they would be subjected to this movie.
Oh, 0 out of 10 for that one then. Not a recommendation.
No, not a recommendation.
Anything you did like this summer?
Ever so much. The Congress, adapted and directed by Israeli filmmaker Ari Folman from a 1960s sci-fi book by Stanislaw Lem. Now, Pacific Rim stems from a planetary emergency, and the Congress stems from a personal emergency experienced by a character called Robin Wright, played by the gifted actress Robin Wright.
Is that Robin Wright pen?
Exactly.
She dropped the pen, okay.
This is an exceedingly meta tale, told partly in live action and partly in very stylized, semi-psychedelic, hand-drawn animation.
And give us the lowdown on the plot.
Well, it's not easy to explain what it's about, but it's about the relentless power of the corporate entertainment industry and also what a quaint notion privacy, personal life is becoming. So in the Congress, real flesh and blood actors are being phased out and replaced with sophisticated scans of their physical attributes, which the studio can then use as much as they want, and the real actor who is scanned will never age. But the deal is that the human actor receives a lot of money, but is prohibited from any sort of public appearance for 20 years. Now, Robin Wright hates this idea, but she needs money to help her son, who has a rare illness.
Oh, wow. Looks pretty strange, that one.
It's deeply, deeply strange, but, you know, in a good way. The animation style happens to be an homage to the brilliant animators Max and Dave Fleischer, whose most famous creation is probably Betty Boop. I think we have some examples of their stuff. And some of their vintage cartoons will be released here in France this coming October. Now, the Congress premiered at Cannes this past May, and it's been sold to many, many countries, but France is the very first place it's been released, and the animation alone took animators in 8 countries almost 3 years to complete.
Great stuff, Lisa. I'm a little disappointed, though, you had nothing to say about Sharknado. Everyone seems to be talking about this week. That seems to be the film of the summer. But anyway, maybe we'll get to that next week. Thank you very much indeed, Lisa NESSELSON. OK, time for a short break here on France 24. When we come back, all the latest international news for you, including the arrest of a Norwegian neo-Nazi here in France. We'll tell you about plans he had for a mass terrorist attack to coincide with the 2-year anniversary of Anders Breivik's murder on Utøya Island. We'll have that for you next.